Hey, Rooted Wings community and Freedom Revival family. We are so excited to be bringing another Candidate Connect to you live. And we're excited about the candidate that we are bringing on today. For those of you who are just jumping in, we've been doing these Candidate Connects really to bring candidates to your living room as we progress very close to primaries and then into the general. And I'm going to bring Sean Fredrickson on now. And then these are birthed out of Freedom Revival. So this whole creation has been a collaborative to really get the public familiar with who's going to be on your ballot so that you are comfortable when you head to the voting booth. So Sean, hey, thanks for joining.
What's up, Britt?
Can you hear me good?
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely. Stoked
I'm
for another one
excited.
of these. Whoa,
I know.
hey, we're both stoked.
I haven't told them yet who we're bringing on, but I'm going to grab
awesome.
him right
Well,
now.
let's do a quick intro first.
Yep, let's go.
All right. So just for those of you who are first time viewing one of these Candidate Connect lives, you have no idea what we're doing. Welcome to the revival, the Freedom Revival.
Yes.
As Freedom Revival is a movement of leaders in Southern California realizing that we have to engage in culture, politics, and the church. It's time to start recognizing we have a role in preserving this republic, and the only way it happens is if you and we engage. And speaking of engaging, there's the man, the myth, the legend, Cordie Williams.
Hey,
How are
Cordie.
you, bro?
Hey, guys.
Thank
you so much for having me on. I'm really honored.
We are so excited. So we have a quick 20-minute live with Cordie today, and then he has to jump off because he is busy. So, Cordie, we're going to kind of rapid fire through this so people get to know who you are and they can support you. But why don't you share what you're running for?
Yeah, so like many of you, I'm running for our kids. I mean, it's all about our kids. I think that's the biggest thing that this election is about. And that's why I got to bump off, because the Defeat the Mandates people were stacked with interviews today. But it's a big honor. I've admired both of you guys for a long time. I love what you're doing. And I mean that from the heart. But, you guys would agree. It's about, we should be able to control what goes in our kids' brains and our kids' veins.
100%.
I think election integrity is important. Immigration is important. But when we can no longer have sovereignty over our veins and our brains and our own kids, because as well as I do, Sean, that liberty, we don't get permission from the state. It comes from God. It comes from Jesus. So that's really the big thing. Like so many people, lockdown started. We felt pushed up against a wall. We thought we were going to lose. We thought we were going to lose our business. So we did the only thing we knew in March of 2020. My wife and I took to the streets, and I tend to have a more addictive personality related to stuff like that than she does. And so on the third rally, a video gets 21 million hits, and we haven't stopped yet. And we've met amazing people along, like you guys along the way that had the same idea in your head, and you independently were doing stuff, and God's just kind of brought us together. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So what are you running for, Cordie? What seat are you going after?
Yeah, so it's Kathleen Kamala's seat. Kamala fraudulently went to the White House. And then Mussolini appointed Alex Padilla, who I think is kind of like, some people call him a lapdog. I would say like a King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, because he's confused about his identity too, I think.
Yes.
And so he's extorted California for a long time. He's been Gavin Newsom's yes man for a long time. The only thing he's ever really, in my opinion, campaigned on is the fact that, hey, I'm Hispanic, so you should vote for me. Meanwhile, I'm destroying your families, I'm destroying your schools, and I support homelessness.
Yeah, I was looking at his endorsement page, and it's interesting you say that he's a lapdog. So his endorsements right now, some of the top ones, he has Speaker Nancy Pelosi up there, Scott Peters, Adam Schiff. I mean, this is front row center. He's proud of his endorsements. Wow. Jim Costa. Then statewide officials, you're looking at Dianne Feinstein, Gavin Newsom, and then you go down a little more and you have Elizabeth Warren, Todd Mayer from San Diego. So you talk about
Todd Gloria's on there too.
Oh yeah, Todd Gloria's front row center.
Oh my gosh.
No, get this. He also has London Breed, San Francisco's mayor, and Eric Garcetti. So this guy
Wow.
is establishment as it comes. And when we talk
Yeah.
about the balance of government, if you want a balanced government and someone in the Senate who's going to be restraining the powers that be for the people, well, his endorsements show you that's not what you're getting with Alex Padilla. So I want to ask you, Cordie, how are you going to go in there and fight for the average man and woman?
Well, I think we have to think differently, because I think these are different times. You know, the last 2.5 years, it has really shown us, I think, that what we're doing isn't working. I mean, the judiciary is rigged about, you know, I'd say 30% of the time, maybe, when we do a lawsuit, whether it's election integrity, whether it's anything that we found to be unconstitutional. Anybody that's wearing a red Republican flag, right, or worships Jesus, we're denied, we're restricted, we're silenced, we're censored. You guys know as well as I do, right? And so I think we have to think differently. And, you know, God really gave this, put this in my brain. I guess it was, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe it was a year and a half ago. And I just thought, as I saw Southwest Airlines, and Sean, as you and Britt and myself and Sharon and Amy Reichardt, so many were forming groups, doing rallies, all that, and protesting.
Totally.
We saw Southwest Airlines, and we saw the truckers, and we saw how the media and politicians, or I call them extorters, started to react to this kind of civil disobedience that's out there. So I think, of course, when somebody asked me, you know, for example, what would you do with the January 6th situation? Would you, you know, form a committee? Would you interview these people? You know, a Senate congressional a committee? Would you subpoena them? Would you say yes to them going to jail? Anybody that put these January 6 people in jail? Yes, I would do all of that. But at the end of the day, what's our recourse when the legislative kind of route doesn't work out or doesn't pan out? Are we going to do another useless Senate congressional hearing and talk to these Luciferian Marxists? And I don't think we need to. I think we need to start mobilizing people at the local and federal level within these groups, like your group, like Freedom Revival, or We the People, or what Corbyn's doing, right? And get these people to walk out of these wealthy businesses in these draconian districts and continue to do these rallies, but more importantly, turn it to more like a Martin Luther King Jr. type of sit-in style of resistance. And I think politicians and influencers, I won't say politicians, I'll say public servants, because we're supposed to be servants. We need to think differently and outside the box beyond legislation. And that's my big thing that I've been campaigning on.
Cordie, you've done so much on the grassroots level. You've built your 1776 Forever Free. You've traveled around California during the lockdowns, trying to compel people to get activated and compel people to get involved in politics. What's it like for you, a grassroots citizen, to now push into the establishment or attempt, you know, to start working that way? What is it like for you?
Well, Sean, and you and I haven't had a cigar recently. We'll have to change that.
We need to.
Thanks for the invitation, guys. Thanks. Thanks, I
Rick
appreciate
can always come, but I mean, it's like I finally talked my wife into having one Monday cigar or something, and I still haven't heard the end of like forcing her to do that. So, Britt, you're always invited.
Okay.
Your husband's invited as well.
Come on. Let's go.
No, I think that, you know, for me, I didn't know how big the swamp was.
Oh yeah.
Like the swamp doesn't happen when you get to DC.
What have you seen? Can you give us an example of something you've seen?
Well, and I'm not going to be political
for the
about answering this, but there's some things I can say and can't say. But, dude, the system is so even in this state. Wow. To tell you it's corrupt, and I have to be careful here.
Because remember, you're talking to people that barely know what the legislative branch is.
Bro, everything is about who you know.
Okay.
Everything is about, if I didn't have the last 2.5 years of these connections, I would not have a chance. Because the difference of winning and losing in politics is the doors that open or close off of what you say, don't say, who you know, who speaks, you know, I mean, it's literally like a popularity club in high school. Yeah. It's really not about the issues a lot of times. Wow. At the grassroots level it is, but as you get higher up and the target gets more over you, it's not about that. And I could tell you some stories offline, some people that some people probably respect, maybe even voted for, and it is a nasty, nasty industry. And so that's what I really want people to get across or kind of soak in today is that's why we have to have this activism component. because the tentacles, even in California, they're deep. It doesn't mean it can't be changed. I know it can, you know it can, Britt knows it can, but it's going to take more than us just trying to negotiate with these domestic terrorists.
Absolutely, man. That's so great. So knowing the audience is diverse, where you have some people that are on here that are very well engaged in what's going on politically and some that aren't so much. What is the significance of the U.S. Senate seat you're going for? As well as, if you don't mind answering, they're on the ballot. I believe there's a full term and partial term. And
yeah. So
what is the difference?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that, just to jump on what he just said, is we're going to see Alex Padilla's name twice on the ballot. And he's been hyping this on Twitter. He wants everyone to vote yes 2 times for Padilla. Are they going to see your name 2 times on the ballot as well, Cordie? And for those of you just jumping on, this is Cordie for U.S. Senate. He is going after Alex Padilla, who is an incredible lapdog to the state and just to the monster of what politics has become.
No, they're only going to see my name once. Okay. So, and honestly, I think it's really interesting how Newsom did this. So because he's an unelected incumbent, the special election would normally be, you know, if you had an ethical governor, he would say, hey, we're going to do the special election 6 months before the general, 8 months before the general, whatever. Right. At the halfway point, technically, I think by California law, he was supposed to do it in the first 90 days or something. I don't know the specifics.
We had a special election
for
Shirley Weber, the Secretary of State.
Yes.
She left the 80th Assembly District. We had a special election for her. Why have we not had one for Alex Padilla in that seat?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because now beautiful. What happens, and so he chose just to appoint Padilla and then push out the special election. And I don't know what the tactic was, other than maybe trying to create confusion, because there's two different spots on the ballot. To your point, there's the term, right? The half term, which would, or well, I'll say the quarter term. Yeah, the special election is just going to elect somebody from, you know, essentially June 7th. My understanding is all the way till November. And then technically November would be the next election for the full 6 years. But the primary is putting forth candidates for both. So, you know, I think it's another ploy to get another 10 grand, because essentially when you get your name on the ballot, if you chose not to get the 3,000 to 4,000 signatures, you're basically paying $10,000, and then you only have to get 100 signatures. Well, you would need 200 signatures and then $20,000 to do this. I mean, in my opinion, useless 3 to 4 month term that doesn't dictate whether you get the 6-year win or not. So we just went for the 6-year win. We also think that people are going to tend to, on the ballot, I believe that the full term is going to come up first anyways. So I'd rather my name be seen there. And honestly, I'd rather save the $10,000. Right?
So Cordie, you're running for full term. You're not running to finish out Padilla's term. Is that correct?
No, I have no interest in that at all. I'm running for the full 6 years.
Okay, so I'm going to jump on, because I don't want to lose our time with you, because I know that you're busy and you've got 10 minutes. So again, this is Cordie for U.S. Senate. Give us just in a nutshell, Cordie, your background as a Marine and why you're running for this seat, because I think that is really important. And then if you can trail into how you're going to end up not bought out. How can you promise us that in 4 years, we're not going to see the same endorsements we see for Alex Padilla for Cordie Williams?
Come on.
Yeah, well, so I'm a doctor and a dad. I'm a U.S. Marine. I'm 42 years old. I've got 2 kids under the age of 5. And you know, honestly, I'll start with this first. I'm not going to get bought out, because I came from a grassroots background for 2.5 years where I lost $250,000. I'm not a wealthy guy. We spent 150 grand of our savings. My chiropractic practice got cut in half. And I have no interest in carrying. You know, Jody Messina did a country song called "My Give a Damn Is Busted," and mine was a long time ago about hearing about what these Luciferians think. I mean, we went to war and the battle lines were drawn in March of 2020, and I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy, but I've had hit pieces in Politico, BuzzFeed, the Rolling Stones. I remember when I was on the Trump bus tour a year and a half ago, you know, in all these flyover states, the heart of America. And my wife's getting these death threats. They're threatening to kill her. I hope your kids watch your back and all that. So it really just reached another level of I don't care. So that's what I would say as far as getting bought out. You know, I'm the only candidate in this race that has the capacity to not only pull money and help the down ballot candidates, but Axiom says we have an 85% chance of winning if we
Who is
win
Axiom?
the CRA. Axiom Consulting is a consulting group that won Governor Youngkin's race in Virginia. The California Republican Assembly is the second largest statewide endorsement you can win. We won it by an 85% margin of victory. I beat one of my opponents, Mark Moiser, 105 votes to 40. We won the California Tea Party caucus. These are the two large grassroots statewide endorsements. We've out fundraised everybody by 80%.
Well, let's jump into that real quick.
Their debt ratio.
I want to know, there are a ton of candidates that are on this ballot.
There are
11, right?
17, I think, last time I checked.
We have.
I saw 11 today. How many? But then I guess if you include the partial, do they count as well? Because I think that's so confusing. Is it just the full? How many do you see, Britt? More than 11?
We're now 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
Holy
20,
smokes.
21.
Tons.
We have
Tons
20.
Of candidates.
This is 23 candidates for the full term.
And
then of that full term, we have a good handful of Republicans. And that's what I want to really hone in on.
There we go.
For you, Cordie, because a lot of people, they get the ballot and they honestly, like, they look R or D. That's what they're looking at.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
when people are going to get this ballot and they're going to see a ton of Republicans on this, I want you to have the opportunity right now to share what sets you apart. So when they go to the ballot, they're looking for Cordie's name. They're not just looking for an R and then just checking one of the random boxes, any, mini, miny, mo.
That's right.
Well, I'm the only candidate in this race that's been out there shoulder to shoulder. I've partnered or done over 120 rallies with various groups around the country, around the nation. So I've had people cry on my shoulders. I've had them tell me stories of how they said goodbye to somebody in a Zoom funeral or through plexiglass or, just all the stories we've heard the last 2 years. And while a lot of folks that are running right now, probably great people, but they were sitting behind a desk. They don't know what the woes of Californians are. I do, but I'd also say just every metric that you can measure a candidate, we've beat all 22 of everybody in the field. I mean, we really have. And you can look at my FEC reports. We have $116,000 cash on hand. One of my primary opponents that I'm facing directly in this state GOP convention this weekend, he's got $15,000. I mean, he's literally got so much debt. He's only got $15,000 cash on hand. So when you measure a candidate's viability, you look at what is their campaign like, or you look at how much money do they have. But the other thing you look at is what's their strategy on winning and advancing from this jungle primary into the general. And we have a 3-pronged strategy. Win the California Republican Party endorsement, which is worth about $2 million. Win the CRA, which we already did, the California Republican Assembly, and then send out 8 million mail slates. We already put $100,000 down on 8 million mailers. Believe it or not, do people throw them in the trash? Some of them do. But they look at them, and there's tons of research to show the people that vote in the primary, the 30% of the evangelicals that hopefully you and Britt, Sean, will increase. They literally take that mail slate to go and vote, and they're like, oh, this guy's kind of cute. I like him. He's got great hair. Oh, I heard he started a 1776 Forever Free. Pencil it in, right? Or they heard about us on this, right? But we're really confident about this thing. A lot of these guys,
you mentioned
honestly,
the jungle primary. I just want to jump into the jungle primary that you mentioned. What makes the primary in California unique to every other primary or other primaries? Go ahead.
Top two voter getters. Do
you have one per party? Like, there's some states that you get one Democrat, one Republican.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Sean. Yeah, no, that's a great question. Literally, we've had, and it actually happened when Kathleen Kamala was elected like 5 years ago or so, 6 years ago. She basically there were two people. The top spot and the second spot were both Democrats, and I forget the lady's name. Loretta Sanchez actually was that second spot. Kathleen was number one. So right now we know Padilla is going to take the first spot.
Well, how do we know
that? Going for that second spot.
Why would Padilla take the first?
Well, I'm going to say because of his endorsement, Sean. I'm going to say because of his his massive establishment endorsements are, I mean, this guy too,
100%.
we didn't even talk about the unions that are backing him. Planned
Okay.
Parenthood is backing him.
Oh yeah,
so
it's gross.
I think that's my question.
Gnarly.
We've got like 4 minutes and it's so sad because it goes so fast. But I want to just touch real quick on your values, Cordie, for people who don't know you. So
Yeah.
I want to talk about a few stances in rapid fire on abortion, because that's a huge topic right now with AB 2223, which would be California, right? But we're seeing the Dobbs case as a national issue. So I want to talk about your stance on abortion, your stance on medical mandates and shutdowns, because likely those are going to be itching at the door again real soon. And then I want to talk about just overall your view going in to defend the people, what your primary values are in taking that seat.
Yeah, well, real simply, I can answer this really, really quickly. Life happens at conception. End of story. No other narrative. Nothing to say.
So good.
And that's the end of the story. And the idea that then we would now say we can kill babies 30 days after they're born is insane to me. And whether you supported abortion in the past or whether you didn't, you were supporting murder before. If you can't see that it's murder now, then there's a lot of prayer warriors out there that need to pray a lot harder, because wow, God help you if you believe that. The second thing I would say is, as far as what was the second question? Sorry, Britt. And I'll max out to 5 minutes. I'll go till 4:30.
Okay.
Perfect.
Medical mandates. Talk to me about all the mandates we see, and then that would go parlay into lockdowns coming back again.
Yeah, or even legislation against it. Creating legislation preventing it.
100% without a doubt. And I would say yes to that legislation. But what I always say to folks
let's clarify so people don't get scared. You would say yes to legislation that...
Both sides, clarify the legislation.
Said no to any lockdowns, any mandates, anything like that. Thank you for that clarification, by the way. We're in speed mode, right? Groceries.
I know. We're doing great.
Jordan, you're in a hurry. But no, we are, right? But I would just say, I would put forth legislation that does not support lockdowns, that does not support mandates. But then again, I think we need recourse. And that's where civil disobedience comes in. When that doesn't work, any governor, any mayor that wants to support a forced vaccination or a lack of choice or a facial apparatus on the nose and mouth doesn't know their science, and they're a communist, plain and simple. And, I think the next COVID situation is coming around, right? The next COVID situation is coming around. Be prepared to get with these groups and exercise civil disobedience and sit-ins. That's what we didn't do enough of the last 2.5 years. And that's where we literally need to go into businesses. And if you're a blue business, I don't care. You're taking away my freedoms if you're allowing everybody in your restaurant to be a sheep. And that's where I think, again, we need to think differently and step outside of the box a little bit.
Well, before we wrap it up, Sean,
hold on.
do you have any
I got one more
questions?
question.
Yeah, I want you to ask one.
What do you got?
No. I want you to go with a final question.
Okay.
Before we give Cordie the opportunity to give us his final pitch and remind people why to look for his name and to vote for him on the primaries.
Beautiful. All right, Cordie. So there's a lot of people, you'd mentioned the swamp, the corruption, how many politicians are really in it for personal gain. They go in to make $150,000 a year and they walk out with 10 houses and who knows how much stock. Why run as a classical Republican or Democrat in these two-party systems? Why not run in the third party?
And I've looked at this for years. I've looked at it for a long time. And I've always said to folks out there, I'm a constitutionalist before I'm a Republican. And there's so many great groups out there that are independent groups. The problem is the system is so rigged. And, my friend, Dr. Guy Reekman, that's the president of the largest chiropractic school in the world, said, you can't complain if you don't have a seat at the table. And so I learned early on, playing the game to get the seat at the table is fundamentally how you change the system. And, I've had this conversation with a lot of people that are like 2020 in the elections and all that. Yes, we need to fix those. But if we don't vote right now, you'll be Venezuela tomorrow.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, Cordie, I'm really sad to say that we have to go. I'm sad about it. I might actually join you on that cigar date.
Let's go.
Plan it. Set it up. Let's set it up, guys.
No, I always love talking to you. You're the real deal. For people who are just getting to know you right now, I just want to get behind Cordie right now publicly and just tell
Thanks,
people
Britt.
how amazing Cordie truly is. He walks the walk that he's talking. Cordie, one thing that I admire about you is you are such a straight shooter, but you're like that every time I talk to you. You are very strong. I would define you as a lion, and I think we need lions in that seat now. We don't want lapdogs, which is what Alex Padilla is. He is a lapdog, and we need a lion, and you are a lion, and you truly are one of us. So I am so hoping that you go in and you tear this up and then you get that seat. If you guys are loving what you're hearing from Cordie, then I want Cordie for you to close us out and let people know how they can support you and back you, and then remind people what to look for on that primary ballot so that they can vote for you.
Yeah, well, I'd say a couple of things real quickly. When you get off this call, or after I get off the call, if you guys could pray for me, because I'm stacked and back to back today. Tomorrow, this weekend is probably the most important weekend of this race. And there's a lot of people that are on the edge about voting for my opponent or voting for me, not on merits, but because he's a nice guy. And I don't think we need nice guys anymore. We need people that flip over tables, right?
Yes.
So if you could pray for me, that'd be huge. Go to CORDIE, Cordie4Senate.com. Scroll down, guys. You can see the newest or the latest campaign video we did. Money is what gets people elected, okay? We've maybe spent $1,000 on hotels or meals for this entire campaign. The rest of it has been out of my personal war chest, my chiropractic company, because we want every dollar we have to go towards a vote. But we are in a drive to get $20,000 by May 1st, okay? By May 1st, we need $20,000 in the Forever Free Action Fund. And then we're also in a drive for about another $180,000 to finish up the mailers I referred to. There's 8 million of them. We've already put 100 grand down. So you can go to Cordie4Senate.com. And if you want to email into the website to learn more about the Forever Free Action Fund, we can tell you about that. There's a great lady named Jen Franco running that. And they're supportive of candidates like me. And your money will go to a very viable and amazing place to help campaigns like mine.
Last thing I want to hear from you, Cordie, is I want you to remind people right now why they need to vote for Cordie Williams on that primary ballot in, gosh, we're like less than a month out. So why do people need to vote Cordie Williams for U.S. Senate?
Well, I beat every candidate out of all 22 in every metric that you measure a candidate on. Okay, and I don't say that to sound arrogant. God's blessed us in that way. But more than that, I'm a doctor, I'm a dad, I'm a small business owner. I took out PPP and SBA loans just like you guys did. I was suffering during the pandemic just like you guys did. And I was hugging and holding people as they cried on my shoulder. And they told us how they lost everything. And so that's the big reason. Because, you know, I'm not going to talk to your head. I'm always going to talk to your heart. This is a David and Goliath battle. But we are in a place, California, where we can win this. We can flip this seat for the first time since Pete Wilson. Worst case scenario, we can win this primary where somebody takes Padilla on head to head and we help those down ballot races. And I need everybody to see the importance of that. It's so important for folks to do that. So really, really appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry I have to go. I'd love to be on again at some point. And it was an honor. Thank you so much, Britt. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
Cordie,
go ahead and jump off, Britt. I want to talk real quick about the polls, and I don't want to hold you too much longer, Cordie, if you've got to roll.
I got to roll, man. I'm
Cordie,
2 minutes
you.
behind. Sorry.
Yeah,
and
do
I
your
love
thing,
you
man.
guys.
We
I
love
wish
you.
I didn't.
Yeah, make sure you reach
Appreciate
out,
you guys. Semper Fi.
Totally. All right, guys. So real quick, a lot of you are talking about how do you secure the election. We have a lot of trauma from 2020 and what we encountered. There's a lot of unknowns. So people keep asking, what do we do to secure the elections? Well, the primary is coming up. Have you taken initiative yourself? There are opportunities to work as a poll worker. You can work as a technical inspector. You can work as an inspector of the entire poll itself. Those are positions that are available in your counties. I would love for you to get engaged. I personally have done so. Britt is doing so as well. In San Diego County, the polls will open up on June 3rd, and they will conclude on June 8th. So all you have to do is go to sdvote.com, and then you go to the tab that says, like, I think it's employment or something like that, because they've changed the rules. So you're no longer a volunteer, but you're actually an employee of the county. And there's a lot of concern about that. What does that mean? Are there mandates for me? Do I have Do I have to do anything crazy for this medical thing? No, you don't. There's no mandates. Simply get involved in the system. If you're asking the question, will this election be secure? That's really something that you can answer if you're willing to get engaged.
Yes, and then also if you're outside of San Diego and you want to work the polls, which everyone really should be, just team up with your spouse or a friend, and one of you guys watch the kids and the other one work the polls. That's what we're doing in my household, and it's a way to be as involved as possible. But if you're outside of San Diego, you can go to pollworker.sos.ca.gov it's really simple. So if you just go to pollworker.sos.ca.gov, you'll find it. And that's a way wherever you are in California to work the polls. I have worked them, Sean. I don't know if you said it. I was looking up the website, but it's easy. It is, it's a time commitment. And I want to say that up front, not to scare you, but just to say it's worth the time. If we're going to see this ship corrected, we all need to get involved. So yes, and not only that, but if you liked Cordie, I want to impress upon you how important it is to work for these guys who are running. So do what you can. Ask them, they have such incredible teams and support systems where you can ask how you can be used to help their name get spread, because that's what most of these people need, is name recognition going into the primaries.
That's right.
So if you liked Cordie, go to his website. It's pinned below, cordie4senate.com, and find ways that you can support him because he needs it. I honestly have a whole lot of faith that he's going to take down Padilla. So it would be amazing to see California restored, and that's what we're going after. And me personally, Britt, as Rooted Wings, I'm endorsing Cordie. I love him. I think he's amazing. He is that lion that we need in that seat. So that's my wrap on Cordie.
Yes, that's so good. And I just want to I want to make sure people understand the value and the significance of the primary election. There are only 2 candidates that are going to get through the primary, and there are, what did we say, 22 that are running for U.S. Senate. Therefore, we have to make sure that we're really investing and putting all the chips on the table for this primary. So if you have the opportunity to donate to Cordie, if you have the opportunity to volunteer, I imagine he's got a plethora of things that you can volunteer for. Please reach out you have his website. It's in the description. He's also on social media. Cordie4senate, I believe, is his Instagram. Reach out to him. He would love your help and donations, of course.
Cool. Well, this was great, Sean. Always such a pleasure. I'm really excited that we got to have that opportunity with Cordie. This is going to be reposted, and then I would encourage you to share it like wildfire because, like I said, it's important to get his name on everybody's brains. That's something he would say.
He would. Not in his veins or brains or something.
Whatever his little light is.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here and joining us today. We'll see you again soon.
So awesome. Later.